Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. Well, I hope everybody had a fun weekend, Super Bowl weekend, but now it's time to get back to work. Time to see what the markets are doing. Now, we're still having the melt up in the markets, right? I mean, we hit that 5,000 number on the S&P, a nice round number. And sometimes after you hit that number, that'll be the headline in the news, and then people will get in, and then the rug gets pulled out. That's actually how I think this is going to play out. Now, this is interesting to me. All right, so you got the S&P hitting new record highs, right? Well, what is the small cap market doing? What is the IWM doing? The small caps are still down about 24% off of their high. That's why I do not think this is a new bull market. Now, I know the moon boys are out there. They all say we're going to 10,000, and that's a possibility, I suppose. It's not my take. I think this 5,000 number is kind of more sell the news. I think that once we get the people to come in on the headline, you're going to see the rug pull. And that may actually be this week. Would not surprise me at all if they pulled the rug out this week, later in the week, maybe starting today. You just never know. But you see, there's never been a more concentrated time in the stock market, meaning that only 7 stocks, the Magnificent Seven they're known as, 7 stocks are pulling the market higher. Now, these 7 stocks over the last year are up 70%. But the rest of the market, you take those 7 stocks out, the rest of the market's really not doing much. And if you go to the small caps, that market 24% lower than its record high. I mean, that would technically be in a bear market, correct? So I just think that we're overbought from this melt up. Now, we've been melting up since back in October, melted up 25%, right? And that's a good run, and I'd take some off if I were, I'd be cautious here. I mean, you can get, 4 or 5% on bonds. I wouldn't go out long bonds. I would 3 months, 6 months, the longest, but you can get a good return on your money. So that's free money, right? I mean, you've had this big run up. You've made the money. I just think that it's overdue for a pullback. Now, this is just my take. Your take may be completely different. All right, so today I want to talk a little bit, about debt again. Debt's a problem now. People, I lose a lot of friends when I talk about debt, but a 5th grader can do the math on this, right? We're 34 going on $35 trillion in debt, printing about 4 trillion to 5 trillion additional each year. We'll probably be close to 40 trillion come the end of 2024. I mean, the Biden administration, they're going to spend as much as they can right into the election. Maybe we even get another stimulus check. They got to buy the votes, right? So this isn't going to stop anytime soon. So let's call it 40 trillion. Let's just do the math here. 40 trillion. I mean, you multiply that by 5%, the interest rate, right? Okay, well, you got $2 trillion, $2 trillion. I mean, that's basically half of the money we bring in taxes. This is not sustainable. A 5th grader could tell you that, but people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear the truth, but that's why you're here, so me and you can talk about it. Now, here's the problem. There's a crisis out there, and it's called the retirement crisis, the baby boomers. People my age getting ready to retire, 50% of them have absolutely no money saved up. So what does that mean? They're going to try to live exclusively on what Social Security pays them. Now, when I was younger, I never thought I'd see Social Security, but yeah, I guess they're going to actually pay it out to me. I'm going to get the Social Security, but I don't believe that's going to buy very much. You see, you got the boomers reaching that retirement age. They're dependent on the Social Security. Now, you millennials, you keep working, keep paying into that system because we need to get our Social Security, and I believe we'll get it. I mean, not from you workers. I'm being just joking with you there. But you see, the government, they don't have that Social Security money. They already spent that. Oh, they got the bonds in there. They got those IRUs. They're going to have to sell some more bonds. They got $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. The majority of that is for us baby boomers, the Medicare, the Social Security, right? And that's $100 trillion that we don't have. They have to fund it. it now. So this is just going to accelerate the pace that we go into debt. We're going to go farther into debt. And I believe that they're going to pay out the Social Security. I just don't believe that it's going to be worth anything. So people that are trying to live exclusively on Social Security are basically going to be homeless, begging for food, because they're not even going to have enough money to buy food. It's very sad, very sad. But you see what this does? It increases the debt. It piles onto the debt. And at some point with this debt bubble, it's going to explode. We've gotten really good at kicking the can down the road. Now, because of this debt bubble, because it's going to take about one out of every $2 of our tax dollars to pay the interest on the debt, it's going to slow down the economic growth of our country. It's going to put us in a recession. We're already going into one, so it's just going to exacerbate that problem. But what else does it exacerbate? It exacerbates the difference between the rich and the poor. The gap gets wider. It's a wider gap, right? The gap keeps getting wider. You keep printing money, the gap gets wider. Now, why is that? Well, we've proven that during the pandemic, right? What did we print? About $8-10 trillion. Where did it all wind up in? Did it wind up in the poor people's hands? No, it wind up in the rich people's hands, right? I mean, the top 10% got extremely wealthy. They made a lot of money, right? And the bottom 90%, not so much, not so much. They're not doing as well as they were before. So here we got this crisis going on. We got this banking crisis. And I keep talking about it, and I got to keep talking about it. I know people don't want to hear about it. I mean, I know it's shocking, but a lot of people don't like when I talk about this stuff. Now, it shocks me that they don't want to hear about it. I would think everybody would want to know what's going on, but most people, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I want to sleep at night. I can't sleep if I worry, and this would make me worry a little bit. I'm a little bit worried about the banking crisis. Banking crisis far from over, far from over. Now, why? Commercial real estate, right? Those tall buildings, those tall office buildings sitting about 50% vacant still. People haven't gone back to work. Some have, but not a lot of them. Sitting about 50% vacant, which means they're worth about 50% of what they were. On the best case scenario, a lot of these are being sold for 70 to 80% down from where they were bought at. And that's a big loss. Now, you see, the banks have to take these back. You see, they have the loans on these, right? But not to worry about the banks, because the Biden administration, they have it figured out. They just have the plan where they're going to convert all the tall commercial office buildings into, well, low-income housing to solve the housing problem. Now, this all sounds great on paper, and I'm all for it. Not easy to do. Not really that easy to do. You see, what's happened just since the year 2000 till now? I mean, it's really hard to convert the building, right? It's hard to convert the building. They've converted 47,000 units in the last 20 years. It's not an easy project, right? And that's less than 1% of the multifamily units come from converting office buildings into apartments for people to live in. Okay, less than 1%. Now, right now, we got the rents are actually starting to come down. Why? Because we have a glut of apartments coming onto the marketplace. Over 1 million new units coming onto the market. They're coming on it for rent, and there's not enough people to fill them up at the prices they want. Now, everybody can afford a couple $100 to live indoors, but they want a couple thousand, starting with the studios, and it goes up from there. $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for these apartments that they're building. They're not going to fill up. They're going to have to reduce the rents. Now, a lot of people think, well, but Mike, that's just the rental market. What does that got to do with the housing market? Well, you see, what's happening in the housing market is that they have to reduce the prices. Now, here's what people don't get. Housing market's locked up. It's pretty much frozen, okay? It's pretty much frozen across the U.S. There are not that many transactions going on. Real estate agents are going broke. They can't make any money. Mortgage lenders going broke. There's not enough deals out there. But there is really no shortage. People think there's a shortage out there right now. There's a shortage of houses. That's what they tell me. And it's really not the case. You see, now new construction, there's an 8-month supply. Now, 8-month supply is a lot of supply. A lot of supply, and they're going to have to start dropping that. Well, they've already dropped new construction prices about 15% nationwide, about 15%. New construction's down. Now, if everything's so great, why do they have to drop these prices? They have to drop the prices because they want to sell the house. And it's much worse than just the 15% down that they're telling you about, because they also have to buy that rate down from 8% down to 5%. Costs them about another 3 to 5%. So new construction's already down about 20%. Okay, but Mike, that's new construction, right? Well, let's look at existing homes. Existing homes, inventory is about 4 months. Now, that's a little bit on the shy side. You get up to 6 months, though, you're going to start to see the numbers really start to come down. Now, why would you get up to a 6-month supply? You'd get up there, once again, we go full circle back to the retirement crisis. The baby boomers have no money to retire. They got to sell their house for hopefully the top dollar to the millennial coming in to buy it, right? So they can retire in style, so they can go to the old folks home in style. I got another listing coming up. They're moving into the old folks home. They're not even that old. They're they're approaching 70. I guess that's getting up there, but they're ready for the old folks home. They're selling their place and they're going to use that money to retire in style, to retire in a nice home, right? But the retirement crisis is a problem, and a lot of people are trying to catch up. They have very little money. Let's say they have $40,000, $50,000 saved. Well, they're putting it in the stock market, hoping for an 8-10% return. You see, going forward, I don't think the stock market's going to be doing that well. A lot of people think, historically it's done 8%. Mike, why wouldn't it do 8% going forward? Well, just in the last couple of years. How much is the stock market up? It's up 0%. 0%. 2 years ago, we're the same place now. We went down, went up, and now I think we're going to come back down. I don't think we're going to get that 8% return over time. Now, why are the pensions in trouble? Pensions are in trouble, a lot of trouble. Why? Because they expect a 7% return, because they haven't been able to get that 7% in the risk-free assets. They've been taking a lot of risk. They've been going into crypto. They've been going into these commercial real estate. They've been going into auto loans. They've been buying anything trying to get that 7% yield. And all of those are going down, 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 down. They've lost half the money. So they tried to make 7% yield, and they've lost half the money. So they don't have the money to pay out the pension money. Now you're saying, but Mike, I paid into my pension for 30 years. Of course I'm going to get my pension. I don't think so. I hope you do. I hope you do, but I don't think so. You see, it's the retirement crisis. The retirement people coming into retirement don't have enough money. They're starting to take bigger risks. They're buying some Dogecoin, maybe some Shiba Inu, some Bitcoin, anything to try to get a little return so they can have a little money for retirement with their Social Security money. And of course, once they start printing the Social Security money, it's going to be much more than $1 trillion every 3 months. I'd say it's going to be about $10 trillion a year that we're going to have to print. So once we're at 40 trillion, by the end of this year, we might hit 50 trillion the very next year. Once again, a fifth grader can do the math. This debt bubble is not sustainable. It's going to come crashing down. Everybody knows it. Nobody wants to talk about. Mainstream media, can't even mention it. Can't talk about it, right? I mean, that banking crisis, don't talk about it. Don't tell your neighbors their money might not be safe in the bank. Nobody wants to see the bank runs. You got to keep your money in there. They don't want you to take it out. Then they got a problem because they don't have it. They don't have your money. That's the truth. Look, if they had to mark assets down to market value, if they mark their assets down to market value, every bank out there would be insolvent, even the big ones, even the Wells Fargo, the JP Morgans, the Bank of Americas, all of them would be insolvent because they don't have your money. They lost your money in bad investments. Now, who really created this mess is the Federal Reserve. They've held rates at what? Well, 0% for 14 years. And then they went from 0%, shot them right up to 5.25%, right? The fastest rate increase ever. Percentage-wise, I mean, that's just off the chart. I mean, and they think that it's done no harm. Believe me, the harm is still coming. I get it. There's still a lot of money out there. The top 10% have a lot of money, and they're still spending like crazy. They're going to the Super Bowl. They're traveling the world. They're out there having the most fun they've ever had because they've never had so much money. But the bottom 90% starting to worry, starting to worry. I got some clients like that. They're worried how they're going to retire. Their money's all in their house. They're going to sell their house. That's where the inventory is going to go from 4 months probably to 6 months to 8 months to 10 months. And that's where you start to see the prices starting to drop. It's just supply and demand. You get that, a lot of supply, but the demand is there. Don't get me wrong. People want a house. People can't afford the prices. That's why prices will come down, and you get that inventory going from a 4-month supply to an 8-month supply to a 12-month supply. You're going to see that price coming down quick. It comes down quick when it happens. Now, once it starts to happen, it picks up speed. Now, people will leave me hate mail. They'll send me comments. They'll do all kinds of stuff telling me what an idiot I am, and I'm okay with the hate. Right? I mean, this is just my opinion. This is just a crazy old boomer guy out there trying to tell you the truth, but people don't want to hear it. A lot of people on my channel, they don't want to hear it. I don't know why they watch my channel then, really. You can change channels. It's amazing. You just watch something else, but they like to torture themselves. So they're here, they're listening, they're telling me what an idiot I am, and I'm good with that. If you like this stuff, though, give me the thumbs up. If you really like it, punch the subscribe button. Why not? I'm Tall Mike. Get out there, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye now.